What up guys, Recca again. And consider yourself blessed if you click this video today, cause I'm back with another one and boy is it hella fun. This time, the delinquent adventures continue with a story starting with Yasuda here. Little wimpy dude who's on the train about to get pumbled by a bunch of bullies. He gets offered help by this strange blonde guy, who turns out to be a fraud and couldn't do nothing to help him. Welcome to the all-boys school, Suzuran High, or School for Crows, which in all reality is nothing but gladiator school. It got the crow alias from the connection between most people's dislike of the bird and the black uniforms that most attendees wear, with the school being full of criminals and delinquents alike. And that's where Yasuda and blonde dude link back up, who reveals himself as Bouya Harumichi, who actually gives me Onizuka vibes off rip. And it's kind of interesting actually, as the difference is just him being a new transfer student instead of teacher. Yeah, but this guy's a real idiot though, and his blonde hair comes from him being a hafu. Cool as hell, but he's always talking some nonsense and just doesn't seem serious. But it doesn't take too long for you to learn when he doesn't hesitate to get into it with one of the most notorious guys in school. Seriously, it only leads to him getting f***ed up. Oh shit, he's really a demon. Anyways man, the gist of this story, Yasuda and Blondie come together pretty much as Sensei and Gakusei do to Bouya's ulterior motives to get with his attractive sister. But of course, you know it can't possibly be as simple as that. Get you a drink or a snack or something for this episode, cause I felt like going deeper in and breaking it down. If you like what you've heard thus far, I encourage you to go watch the actual anime for yourself, then come back and let's reflect on it together. Everyone else, sit back and enjoy the show. Bouya may have beaten one dude that's at the top of the hierarchy in the school, but he's just the tip of the iceberg, and it only gets crazier from here on out. This is the story of KouKou Butouden Crows. The school is run for real by a hierarchy, by the way. A bunch of these guys getting defeated by Blondie ended up throwing off the balance of everything, and now certain individuals are worried about what the higher ups are gonna do to them when they find out that this dude just came in and just had his way with them like it was nothing. There's three guys that everyone's worried about. Bando-san at the top, Senda-san, his right-hand man, and another guy named Yamazaki. What's wild, it's not just that they're the only gang in the school or anything like that. There's tons of gangs. It's just that Bando's the strongest one. Beyond this, man, it's just mad people coming to see Bouya, and the politics just continue to add up over the course of the couple-hour runtime of this OVA. I enjoyed this mainly for its story. Had a pretty good cast of characters and it all blended well in a cool school environment with a hilarious undertone. It's of course not the deepest and most intellectual thing in the world, but it's fun, and you will be entertained by it thoroughly. I promise you that. In certain moments it stresses the hell out of me cause Bouya just sits there for a while and lets people smash him up, even though you and him both know that it's only a matter of time before the tables turn. The story with him on that, he considers himself more of an independent and isn't really running as delinquent or thug, but at the same time he's no punk either. And this is where he finds himself in these situations. But I guess the internal tug-of-war of this character helps tighten the emotional wirings that lead to investment to the show. Especially cause once he turns up, it's over. And this dynamic has forever changed the dynamic of the School of Crows. The more and more the antics and fights go on, and Bouya gets the better of person after person, the more people begin to truly despise him. The antes get upped as the series goes on, and by the end of the first episode, kerfuffles go from harmless, well, not harmless, but fair fist-to-fist fights, to certain dudes bringing out their staggers. It's this point where Blondie starts to bring out his true personality and belief system, and we understand why he hangs out with a wimp like Yasuda. He doesn't even resonate with the whole arrogance and egoism of the Suzuran High School student body, and he rejects their notions and fights against them. It's obvious he has a level of cerebral structure to his mind, and it opens the doors up for you to feel more connected to his character going forward. So yeah man, by this point he builds up his own little roster of good dudes, and we move on to the next episode with anticipation on which direction the school will go in from here on out. So what's up with the second half of Crows? Plenty of gossip is going around, a lot of it projected and dragged about how Bando was dealt with crazy by our boy, and immediately, in comes the next guy who Bayou is warned not to fool with, Rendaman. Much as I'd love to sit up here and tell you how it's all talk about the level to which he's dangerous and this and that, That's not the case here. This particular guy, for PG references, I'll just say he has a history that led to a situation where he gave someone their wings, so to speak. That's the stigma that he carries, and it flows into the energy of how the two guys come face to face. You could see from the footage, it ain't hard to tell he's senile. That is a husk of a man right there. Anyways, he comes right out the gate looking for Bouya, so there's no time wasted here. Once Renderman finds Bouya, of course the dude doesn't even seem to be the least bit intimidated by any of the noise he heard associated with Renderman's name, and begins trolling, which of course leads to a brutal beatdown. Later on, talking with the flimsy boy there, Bouya acknowledged that the rumors are aligned with what is real, cause he gets a murderous vibe off Renderman, and it causes him to take the new opponent more seriously. And after that, nope, go watch the anime. Crows itself is a 26-volume manga that ran from 1990 to 98, so the franchise had its day during the era. Now interestingly, this OVA isn't the only form of adaptation a manga got. There's been 3 films in the 2000s that came out in Japan. 2007, 9, and 14 brought Crows Zero, Crows Zero 2, and Crows Explode. Finally, I want to say that there's a full-blood brother manga to Crows called Worst. The manga for Worst ran in the 2000s and is also set in the same delinquent school as Crows. And of course, this means they both exist in the same fictional town of Tarushi. Which I must add on, the city has its own lore in the realm of the 2 manga from the mangaka. When I looked this up on Wiki, it has information through and through on how many train stations it services, middle and high schools, the history and names of all the various gangs and which area they claim territory over, their names, and even a map. The wiki has even broken down certain places of interest in the city like Riverside, Sports Ground, Monsters Forest, and other places of course anyone who read this manga would be more familiar with. But I was just shocked how much information I was able to find about some random 2-episode OVA no one really even knows or talks about. You gotta understand, there's a Toriyama one-shot I did a video on recently that I could barely find any history on for that, and that's Toriyama. So yeah, that's the foundation. I became kinda interested in checking the manga out cause towards the end of the OVA, a group gets introduced that are even more volatile than the foes we encountered in the series, and it's been said that they have ties with the Yakuza. There's no mystery with these guys though. They are cold, hard killers. So who knows what I'll do in the future, I might have to check it out. Yeah, but I enjoyed this, man. It could be that I currently have a newfound taste for delinquent anime. I find them to be both funny and dopamine spiking from all the violence and degeneracy, and none of that is missing from here. On a side note, it's kind of funny when I sit back and I think how the student body operated here like it was the actual streets, where they kind of disregarded teachers, but in a way where they still had respect, like they still showed reverence for when the teachers would speak and send them to class and this and that, but they had their own thing going on, and they would just kind of ignore the teachers, honestly. They wouldn't really fight them either, they just do them, you know what I mean? And the final story-related observation I noticed is how certain early foes of the anime, though they never became allies or even fans of Bouya, they low-key became intrigued with him and wanted tabs on what he was going to do, and why would he even want to fight someone like Renderman in the first place? Actually, that's straight cap. That first guy, you know, the guy from the train in the beginning of the OVA, not only does he come crawling back for forgiveness when he sees the level that Blondie is on, he actually gets on his knees to the very guy he bullied, asking if he could be down with the family and settling as a subordinate. Again, another example of the type of thing that gets me more emotionally invested into these characters, even with the anime working with such a short runtime. Alright then, the art and animation. Say it with me. Standard for its time. In this situation though, it's a little bit lower than expected for 1994. And funny enough, I made an Onizuka comparison early on, right? Cause Onizuka looks 5 to 8 years older than it actually is, being a 1999 anime that looks like a 91 or 2. And I found Crows to be dated a few years production-wise itself, being washed a little in its color and not the most vibrant aesthetic, and of course less budget for animation. It definitely doesn't hinder the experience, but we're speaking reality here. Wrapping up, this one's another no-brainer recommendation for anyone who wants a damn near guarantee the next anime they throw on will have something of value to them. I know someone here will go check this out. You'll find a few videos on the manga series, cause it had enough substance and ran for almost a decade. but I believe this to be the first channel to do a video breaking the anime down. I know you'll appreciate it as much as I did, and I hope you come back and share what you thought of it from your own perspective. It hits everything across the board except for probably romance, although why would you come into a delinquent anime for romance anyways? That's neither here nor there, just do yourself justice and familiarize yourself with this OVA. Like the video, comment down below what y'all want to see next. I'm out. Thanks for watching Anime Backward.